Good morning, guys. Welcome to our class. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So I haven't seen you in a while. You were very busy with the projects, I guess, and also with other courses. And I was busy as well. So today I'm going to get into one of the last topics in our course. So far, we have seen a link uh, and we used list view with the previous examples. I unlocked every single chapter on Moodle, by the way. We have 7 chapters. So in the last lectures, I covered list view and I showed you how these works alongside with a file if you want, or with an object-oriented usage or regular list view. We discuss all of these. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about data grid, which is our final topic. Before I do that, do you have any questions or do you have anything you want to ask? I do believe this course went really, really smoothly because the YouTube tutorials were basically there for you. They explained everything. So if you actually go there, click onto the channel, you will find almost all the information you need for this course. It's available there. So I did these tutorials. I'm happy about them generally. I did not like the microphone that I use because it's just very annoying. So the recording didn't come out very good quality. But other than that, I think the content is very rich. And all of these videos, everything about this course is covered here. So all you need to do is to go and watch these videos to learn how to use the data grid. You can also basically put images. I show you that one as well. Should you want to into the forms, which is part of your coursework. Okay. I within this week on Sunday, I also replied to every single uh, theme form that is uploaded on Moodle. So using those forms, I either said yes, your topic is okay, you can work on it, or I probably told you to change it because someone else took your topic before you did. So basically, every single theme topic that is uploaded there, I replied them. So all you have to do is to go to your upload. There is a feedback section there. Find the feedback section and then look into what I have responded to your upload. That way you will know whether you can improve your work or whether you need more team members or change subject as well. Just so you know, when I evaluate this, I will look into what I wrote to the feedback part. So please address this issue, such as if I told you to change your topic, don't submit with the topic that you already I already told you to change. Okay, this is a drawback. Some people also replied to me and said that there are 2 people and they almost finished the project. That is unacceptable. I told you that this is a teamwork. All software development in the world, regardless of what they are always teamwork. It is given to you in the course work description, and I don't understand what is the problem, but people keep sending me emails, even though I wrote it red and big, that it's teamwork and cannot be done alone. People still do not read these documentation, and I really don't know why. Some other people also had 4 members, but they divided the job to 3. Let me assure you that if you actually do this, like you get 4 members, but only divide the job into 3, you will be heavily penalized. If you have 4 members, that member has to go above and beyond, such as putting JSON, putting extra innovations into the program, such as functionality installation packages, basically something that I did not show you in the class. The whole point of this project is for you to test your capabilities. Everything you learn in this course is basically being tested with this coursework. Now, before I further continue, do you have any questions?
None for me, because the videos on YouTube are very, very helpful. So far it's good.
I know, right? I also find them helpful, to be honest, because once I recorded it, there is no point for me to basically solve the questions again. So I agree. The YouTube tutorials has been a great helpful. Yes, Sophie. Can you please get closer to your microphone so we can hear you better?
Good morning, sir. I don't know if you can get me now.
A little bit better, yes.
Okay, sir. My worries was when I was trying to declare the records. That's the list records. Record is equals to new.
When you try to declare what?
When using the external class, that's the record class, where that that's the second way of using the list view.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's up to you which way to use. I'm not really forcing you to use one way or the other, okay? For example, in the coursework, if you use the first way and you do not use the second way, I am not going to penalize you. I'm just going to look at how things work around. And as long as you validated the data, you organize your functions, you avoided repetition, as long as you did these things, it does not matter which method you use. Okay? So if you are asking this about the coursework, no, I will not penalize you if you use one way or the other. Remember that programming has a lot of solutions. You know that I am only showing you the ways that I use in my programming, but if someone else teaches this course, maybe they'll approach the problem differently. There are not only one solutions to problems, there are many. These are my solutions to these problems. Okay, so this is how I use data grid. This is how I use list view. This is how I use classes. So, and that's what I actually taught you in the videos. I have an object-oriented programming background. I like object-oriented programming a lot, and most of the job offers I see online, they look for object-oriented design and development. So I think it's an advantage for you if you use the second way. But I also understand that you lack the experience and you might not understand it. Maybe it's too complicated, the second way, right? It might be
Yes, sir.
more complicated. It's okay, all right? Just try to realize that just because there's a way to solve one problem, it does not mean that that's the only way or there is no other more efficient way, okay? I show you how I use the list view, then I show you a more efficient, more reliable way to do it. It's up to you which one to use. But basically, the second way is a better programming way, okay, to do it.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I want to, meanwhile, while you have your questions, I want to talk about a little bit about final exam. This is why we have these sessions, by the way. I don't come to these sessions just to solve the same exercises. I come to these sessions to talk to you. And if you have any problems, we discuss them in these sections because I already recorded the YouTube videos and you already know what you are doing. So basically, we will use these sessions to discuss. Yesterday, I was watching the news and I saw in Turkey that the Ministry of Education took the decision that the final exams in Turkey will be online in all universities. So basically, the higher education ministry left the universities to decide. And many major universities already decided that they will do the final exams online. I suspect, look, I'm not saying this is true because there is no official explanation yet. We will have an explanation probably this or next week from the announcements of the university, from the rectorate office. But I suspect that the final exams will be online as well. I do not think that we are going to go back to the university anytime soon. And basically, all the decisions are taking is postponing the physical education, official education, until end of June. So this means that the final exam period should be online. Under those circumstances, okay, I will do the final exam online if it is possible. And your final exam will be multiple choice. I cannot control your situation of what you do as a programming or how you do it. And I already gave you enough projects, I think. The projects I gave you are very detailed and they are good projects as you are working on them. So in a scenario, okay, that the decision is that we take the final exams online, which I think that's what's gonna be, although I'm not sure. I will do the final exam online, and it will be a multiple choice exam. Okay, that is my perception. I will not give you a program to write, but rather I will measure your knowledge through multiple choice questions on Moodle. I'll create one and you will basically answer these questions. That is the plan that I have. But like I said, I'm not sure because there is no official explanation about final exams yet. Yes, Kongon, I see you raise your hand, so I'll stop talking so you can talk.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Morning.
My question is about list view and XML. I have a problem with to write in an XML file using list view is not a problem, but to read when using to read my data in an XML file directly into into a list view, because list view has columns, which like I have 3 columns, so I have to read 3 sets of data to put them in those columns. So I try using the for loop for each loop to iterate with it, but it wasn't going because for each loop you can take out just a single item. So when I get there, I get confused. I've tried every possible means I can, but
So you cannot read from XML file. Is that what you are saying?
no, to read from my XML file, but to read the data and put them into a list view.
I understand, but that is the project basically. If I tell you that, then the project is done. I'm sorry, but I cannot give you the answer because that is exactly what the project is. Everything else is done by me. Everything else about XML is done in here. As you can see, I can create an XML file. XML file is saved and I can read the XML file. I can add data to the XML file. Every single part about this is already done by me. So the only thing that you are supposed to do is basically to convert this instead of showing text in here to list view. If I do that part, Kongon, what are you going to do in this course? Everything is already done by me. Everything, every single of these files, the code is shared with you on Moodle. And I also did the videos. So what are you going to do? If I give you the answer to that question, it means you're going to copy paste what I already solved and show me as the project. So that means I should give everyone 100. I'm sorry, but you are basically asking me the answer of the project.
No, sir, I wasn't asking for the code. I was asking like for the maybe a guide.
Look, what you need to do, I can tell you without telling you the code. What you need to do is when you show these XML, these has to go to each one of them into a different column. It is possible to read them. Don't tell me that you cannot, because I can read them. Look, student name, I can read it. If you go to the code, you can see how I read this student name. Let's go to the code. I'll show you that part as well. So if you go to the code and using the for each loop, look, I'm looking for the each element in here. See, name of the students. You can find not only the name, but every single one of them. You can find the student number. You can find student ID. You can find student surname. Do you want me to show you the surnames only?
No, sir. No, sir.
All you have to do is to iterate them and put them into the nodes, into the list view, one by one. Each one of them, when you read them, each one of them will be a string value. Then you add them into the list view one by one. You know how to add to the list view itself as well. If I open the list view exercise, I'll show you how to add them to the list view as
No,
well.
sir, I know how to do that. Yes.
Okay, then you know everything. All you have to do is this entire project is only about converting the XML values into list view records. That's it. So in here you see these are added by me. They're gonna come from XML. That is the only thing you should do. Everything else is already done by me in the tutorials, in the YouTube tutorials. And I also uploaded some of this course to Moodle. If you want to see my code, you can also go down, look at the lecture slides. I unlocked the data grid as well. Click on the lecture slides. You can see my code there as well. And I made it in a way that you can even copy paste. Like what else I could do for you? You want me to do your own project? Like
No, sir.
seriously?
No, sir. You have clarified what I was looking for.
I am sorry, but that is not a good question, Kongon. I am very sorry, but I cannot answer to that
I
question
understand, sir, but you
because
have
that is the
answered already.
work that you should do. Okay, I'm sorry, but you need to get the discipline to do it on your own. All right, if you want to pass this course, because everything else is already done by me. All right, anyone else who wants to ask any question? I only come to these sessions as office hours, and as you know, most of the work is already done. This week, I suggest you to look at the data grid view. You can use this data grid view in your project as well. It is a better approach to me to manage. Data grid view has something called data source, which is a better way to manage the records than list view. In list view, you cannot put the entire data into the list view. You need to add it one by one. The big difference between list view and the data grid view is that it is possible for you, once you created a template, it is possible for you to use the data source property, and using the data source property you can actually initialize the entire data to the data grid view. So once you have basically decided where the records will be stored, such as I created a list, or you can create a binding list. And all you have to do is, once you have created the binding list, you can basically use this to initialize it to the data grid view source. All you have to do is here. You see this data grid view data source. Let me just zoom. Is people list, and the people list is actually the list that you created with the people. In this case, whatever you added inside, you don't add them one by one, you add it as a whole. So once you created a set, this goes into the data source. That is the big difference between list view and also data grid view. Once you have done this, everything else is very similar to list view. you can see that the columns selection mode full row select is basically the same as list view. So you can do multiple selection polls and leave only which are full row select in the list view. So basically similar. And the selection is done in a way that once you click on the 0 cell, which is the cell that you are selecting, you use the cells 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2, and so forth. The values can be transferred. Again, very similar logic to the list view. Having done so, you can do the add operation in a very, very straightforward way. This is amazing because the data grid view is directly connected to the binding list. Just by updating the list, the data grid will update itself automatically. This is why I used a binding list in here. The reason why I used a binding list into the data grid view is because as I update this list, data grid will be updated automatically. So it's not like in this view that they are separate entities. They are actually bound to each other. Hence why it's called a binding list. And just by updating the binding list itself, you can basically update the data grid. Moving on, we can look into the update part. The update part is again very similar to list view. What you need to do here is to find the ID or the primary key so that this can be updated. So first thing I do is that I read the data grid view and find the ID value, and using the ID entered, I subtract it because this is an array logic. And then once I found the ID, I initialize the name, enter it, and the surname, enter it to the people list ID. Remember that in data grid, you never update your data grid itself. You always update whatever source is bound to it. And that is the big difference between data grid view and also list view. Because the data grid view is directly connected to the data source, in this case, the people list. Just by updating the people list, you update the data grid view. Hence, in every single example down there, you will see that updating the people list will automatically trigger the update on the data grid view. And the same goes for the update operation. Whenever you basically update the name and surname of a person with this specific ID, whatever ID is selected there, all you have to do is to refresh the data grid view so you can see the new records being overwritten. Okay. The final part is the delete part, which works very, very similar again to the list view. The only difference here is that we don't delete it the list view, we delete it from the people list. So we look into the ID, we found the whatever ID being selected there, and one by one we look into the source. In the people list, if we found the ID of the component selected to the ID that we entered, which means the ID that I entered from the text box or label or whatever I selected is the ID of the component, then it will basically delete it. And the delete operation, once again, will be done on the people list. Here's an example of how data grid view looks. So it's a table-like design, just like the list view, but instead it takes the entire people list and fits it into the data grid view source. You can do the update, delete, and add operations in here. We have some more components that you can use to enrich the form. One of these is called data time picker, which will allow you to pick up time from a date from the user interface, which can be very useful for those who are doing hotel reservation or flight reservation kind of systems where they have to reserve specific dates so that this could work within the dates. Those kind of applications can use data grid view, data time picker, and using that you can basically generate a format to it. So you can allow a specific format for your date time picker, the custom formats that we use, and then the date time picker, when the value is changed, you can basically set it to a specific text box. So just to show you, let's create a new project. Date time picker. This is something I did not do in the videos because something a bit extra. All you have to do is just find date time picker. There you go. And you can see the date time picker over there. We can go to the properties. And I'm just going to call it my date picker. And maybe we can put a text box or a label so that we can show the information there. Date label. And going up, date is displayed. Bold and bigger. Oops. So basically this is my date picker and this is where I want to show the data, assumingly. So having done so, we're gonna move into the part where I'm gonna generate the data for this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to change the format. So I'm just gonna copy paste this to change the format, double click on it to the form and just change the name. In this case, it was my date time picker. Format is custom. And the format that I use is basically day, first, month, then year, which is basically the European format. It depends on where you use the application. You can select different kind of formats should you want to. But this is very commonly used in Europe. You show the date, you also show the day of the week. Okay. So how do you do that? Whenever the value is changed, basically you can transfer it into the component. So you can do this by changing the value. Once again, because I wrote the codes before, I'm not going to write them again. I'm going to come in here. As I change the data grid view, as the value is changed, I'm going to put them into my date picker value, which is whatever value being entered from there, and then set up the label date label text to whatever date is being entered there. So as the user selects a date, you can see that that date will be reflected. So assuming today is, I'm going to pick up a date, and as I pick up the date, you can see the full date being written in there. This could be very useful for hotel reservation kind of applications or flight, because in those kind of applications, you can basically ask the user to select values in range. So you can put from in here. So assuming that this person is going to do a reservation on a hotel, you can show the dates from which date to which date. So I selected this, and from this day to that. Right, I'm going to continue with this application in the second half. I'm in the last 8 minutes. Do you have any questions to me? We are in the last 8 minutes. If you have any questions, I can answer. So someone is asking me, computer shop, how do I do the purchase? Basically, you have different roles there. There's the admin who can basically change everything in that system. Let's go back to the project. You gotta define two important roles in your application. In the project description, I think these are explained in detail, but let's go through them through since you did not understand it. Jumping from one topic to another. So basically, when you gonna design the application, there will be some products page. Okay, you're gonna reach to the purchase screen, the purchase one from the products form. This is the first form that will appear as you basically create the application. The person who gonna see the products will be able to access this one, and only when they want to do a purchase they have to basically register. So even the unregistered and all other users will be able to see the items, quantity, and the price of all products in the computer shop. Once they want to purchase something, you will have to ask them to sign in, which is a login operation. Once the login is done, you can ask the people to pay for it. Now, in this application, if your team is flower shop, the user can see a baguette of roses on the product with 10 in quantity, with each baguette being €6. Should a registered user successfully buy a baguette of roses, this will be subtracted from the overall store. Each user should be able to buy one item at a time. This means you do not have to develop a basket system. So this means that if you basically develop an application, you don't have to do the basket system. Once the basket system is done, sorry, you don't have to do the basket system. You just need to subtract it from the overall quantity. So maybe you got confused that you want to design a basket system, but the thing is, in the course description, I already wrote you that you don't have to design a basket system. So the only thing you should do is to basically subtract whatever quantity selected from the overall total. That's it. Like a subtract operation, and you are done. I'm gonna stop in here because I am under 4 minutes now. I'm gonna go back to BB now and we invite you. I'll see you guys there soon. Okay? Take care.